Welcome to Nighthawk Off-Road. I'm Sim, and today I'm at Palo Duro Canyon, specifically Merus Adventure Park. And I'm actually here for the Trail Recon Summit, the third annual Trail Recon Summit. But that doesn't start until tomorrow. So today I'm gonna hit the trails, explore the canyon a little bit, soak in the views, and just see what we find. So I think it's gonna be pretty awesome. Palo Duro Canyon is the second longest canyon in North America, and in the 5 days that I spent here, I got to witness just how incredible the history, geology, and wildlife is in this part of the Texas Panhandle. The canyon was formed by the prairie dog town Fork Red River. Try saying that 5 times fast. And over millions of years and various geological periods, depositions have resulted in colorful canyon walls, rocks full of sea creature fossils from when this area was underwater, and plenty of petrified wood. While I've driven through Amarillo before, I had no idea just how much the geography could change in just a 30-minute detour off the interstate. While Palo Duro Canyon is millions of years old, just to the east of the state park is Merus Adventure Park. It's relatively new and has only been around for a few years. Dirk, whom I had a chance to meet at the summit, is one of the founders, and honestly, he's such a genuine and down-to-earth guy. He and his wife Kristen, along with their business partners and friends Pete and Vienna, are the primary owners of the park today. As avid jeepers and outdoor enthusiasts, it was so awesome to hear about their vision, both for turning the park into one of the nation's premier destinations for outdoor adventures, while still maintaining, respecting, and preserving the canyon and surrounding land that they're now responsible for. The test track at Merus can almost be designated its own trail. The way Dirk described it, there's only about a half dozen or so types of situations that you're likely to face when off-roading, but it's the combination of these factors, like being both on an incline and off-camber at the same time, that can make things just a little more challenging. The test track is exactly that, a series of obstacles in close succession intended to test both your rig and your driving abilities. With flex hills, off-camber zones, and steep inclines, this test track is pretty representative of almost everything you're likely to face by venturing onto the many trails that the park has to offer. So, to get ready for the Trail Recon Challenge, and maybe because I was both a little nervous and a bit of an overachiever, I decided to hit the test track the day before to hopefully get a taste of what I'd be facing over the next few days. So, alright, so just to give you guys a little bit of how flexy this test track really is, check this out. So I am not really even, I guess, fully in, and I'm pretty much getting ready to max out on my flex. And I'm running these are 37-inch Cooper rugged Treks on a metal cloak 3.5-inch Game Changer. You know, so it's not really a stock setup, but you know, it's getting pretty flexy. And this is only about 10 degrees of roll, so pretty mild in terms of the roll, but the flex is pretty intense. And I'm not even, as you can see, I mean, you know, there's the deep part, and I'm not even really in that yet. So yeah, this is pretty interesting. This is pretty cool. It's gnarly. This is not what I expected. You know, the test track I thought was going to be kind of a cakewalk, you know, flex out a little bit. You know, I've climbed up on a ramp and stuff before, but yeah, this is pretty next level. So the next day, I intentionally challenged myself to flex out as much as possible and push the limits of the Jeep. Just listen to those fender liners popping. This part of the test track is meant to test you and your rig's abilities in off-camber situations. I think I probably hit about 32 or 33 degrees here, but watching it back, I think if I climb that hill up just a little bit more, I could probably get to 36 or 37. It definitely doesn't look that bad on video, but boy is it scary when you're sitting inside the Jeep.
Another one of my group. Unless they make extreme. That's pretty gnarly. Yes, sir.
So after that little off-camber section, there's some more ups and downs, and then the trail actually splits. There's a black offshoot loop that I was able to do just fine, but I didn't get footage of it. And then this is the next big obstacle on the blue section of the test track. So this mud pit, again, I didn't get video of me going through it, but let's just take a look at the aftermath. Okay, that was pretty intense. And I gotta say, almost got stuck. Take a look at this. Oh yeah, coated. And kind of had to use a lot of skinny pedal to get through here. But that's kind of just how it goes without lockers. It's pretty muddy, so I think it looked a little more dry than it probably is. So I think that's probably why. But a little bit of skinny pedal, a little bit of good line placement over here towards the right, and I was able to get out. But did pick up a lot of gunk on the rear end. Oh man, that's great. All right, onwards. Merus Adventure Park features 4 signature trails, all of which you can get badges for, designed by All Roads Taken, in the park office. Realizing that only 3 of these were on the itinerary for the Trail Recon Challenge, I decided I had to conquer the 4th on my own. So, after the test track, I decided to head down into the canyon to tackle Cape the Great, a black diamond trail. But, like any good off-roader knows, I didn't go alone. Instead, I asked a couple guys who were in from Georgia in their Bronco Raptor if they'd like to join me, and they quickly agreed. They were pretty eager to wheel and explore the canyon. But before we could get to the trail, we had to get down into the canyon. As every Merus trail guide will happily tell you, technically there's 3 ways to get to the bottom of the canyon: drop in, drop zone, or drop dead. Last of which basically means going over the edge. But hey, just like landing a plane, anybody can do it once. Since we wanted to live another day, but still wanted a challenge, we decided to take Drop Zone, a black-rated trail with a steep incline full of some ledges, loose rock, and descending almost 900 feet to the canyon floor in a matter of just a few hundred yards. Yeah, so this little bit is just blue to like loop back, and then this drop is black. But then once you get to the bottom, it's about a 900-foot elevation drop in like maybe a quarter mile. And once you get to the bottom, it's a blue trail that runs along like the bottom of the canyon. Like you can kind of see all the way down there. Knowing I had been the one to suggest this in the first place, I thought it only fair that I go first. Luckily enough, my Gladiator and I made it most of the way down without issue, and just dragged the rear bumper a little bit on one of the ledges. But before moving on, I had the responsibility to serve as a spotter for my 2 new friends in their very well-built Bronco, getting ready to come down Drop Zone. There you go, keep it coming. Alright, start going a little passenger for me. A little more passenger. A little more passenger. There you go. Yep, nice and easy. A little more passenger. Yep, it'll level out here in just a second. Yep, hold that line, hold straight. Yep, nice and easy. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Good, good, good. Go a little more passenger. Yep. Keep going. Hold that line. I'm trying to get you away from the drop. Yep, good. It's gonna level out. Keep going. Yep, nice and easy, nice and easy. Passenger's coming up a little bit, and then it's gonna come back down, just over a little hump. There you go. Yep, and it's gonna start coming down. Passenger's coming down. Good. Yep, nice and easy. All right, you got about 8 inches before your driver comes in, and it's gonna drop in on the shallow part of the drop, not the steepest part. About 3 inches. Yep, nice and easy. There you go. Yep, good. Looking good. Looking good. And it's coming down right now. Driver's coming down. There you go. You're good. Yep. Oh man, that part gives me goosebumps watching it back even now, and it was definitely scary in the moment. I can only imagine how they felt inside the rig. You know, one of the things that doesn't get talked about enough is just how important it is to trust your spotter. This was definitely a massive trust exercise, especially considering these two guys had just met me a couple hours ago. Towards me as much as you can, and you should be good. Just take it nice and slow. It's pretty loose rock.
Hey, that's butt fuckery.
I know. You did great.
And by the way, this wasn't my first time spotting or tackling a challenging obstacle, but anytime you're trying something new, it's always a good idea to stop, think it through, observe, and make a plan before executing. And on a challenge like this, taking it slow and having clear communication is always a good idea. Drew and Tad, if you're watching this, thank you for trusting me. An excellent job on staying calm and composed coming down this obstacle. Once we got to the bottom of the canyon, we followed Tintin, a blue, intermediate rated trail. There were no crazy obstacles on this one, but being in the creek bed, there were quite a few rocky sections and lots of tight turns that took a little bit of time to navigate. We took it slow and scouted ahead pretty often. Soon enough, we ended up at the entrance to Kate the Great.
Okay, so I'm here at Kate the Great, which is a black diamond advanced trail. And really, they said you're not supposed to do black trails without lockers. Well, I got a limited slip rear, open front, but I'm not wheeling alone, and my friends that I met are here in their Bronco Raptor, so we're gonna be doing it together. And we're gonna see how it goes. All right, so far, Kate the Great has been totally okay. It's been some minor stuff, mostly flat, some minor obstacles. This is probably the first big obstacle. It's this hill, probably about 100 yards or so, 28, 29, even 30-degree pitch up. But you kind of got bumpers on both sides, so it's not bad. Here comes the Bronco. Man, this thing's a beast.
Kate the Great is a black diamond rated challenging trail that winds through the canyon and has some spectacular views. While there aren't necessarily a crazy amount of rocks, there are plenty of steep inclines, off-camber sections, and rutted, washed out areas where it's a good idea to take it slow. And for a longer wheelbase vehicle like my Gladiator, the sharp turns meant I had to take a 3 or 4 point turn more times than I can count. In fact, there were several times where we got out and scouted ahead on foot first. While it made the going a little slower, it was well worth it in my opinion to help us plan for the next obstacle and pick a good line, especially when coming around blind corners or cresting over steep hills. Now, there was one point, maybe about halfway through, that we did need to winch, but as you'll see here in the next minute or so, this situation was pretty avoidable.
I just got to keep you from sliding down here on top of me.
Yeah.
You need to get your front end to go that way. The goal is, and then I'm going to tell you when to straighten up, because look, the goal is, as you know, is to go straight back up. We're not going to be able to pull you up over that ridge.
No. Straight back from here, honestly. Once I'm out away from the tree,
Right.
I think at that point I can reverse on my own, but I just want to get my front end away from the tree because that's what's stopping me from backing up right now.
So you're going to be reversing on your own, okay? I'm just
Yep.
going to be holding you that way.
Yep.
Okay.
That sounds good. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so I want to take a second to talk about a couple of things that aren't immediately apparent about the situation from that video clip. So there's a few things going on, and I wish I got better footage of the situation, but honestly, we were pretty occupied with doing the actual recovery, so that was our number one priority. So when it comes to a situation like this, we could probably spend multiple videos just talking about, the different recovery gear, the ratings, the setup technique, all that stuff. I'm not going to do that for now. I'm going to save that for a future video. But what I want to touch on here is two things. One, how we got into the situation, and two, how we're going to get out of it, but specifically the communication strategy that we're using to resolve it. So in the absence of better video, I have the next best thing, which is a model of the situation. So I have here a 3D printed Jeep Gladiator, and to represent the situation we're in, let's say this stack of books we're on the trail, and this is the tree that you can't really see from the video, but this is sort of the situation we're in. So to give you some background context, right before I shot that video, you sort of come around this blind corner and you come down this hill, and so the Bronco is sort of parked up here in that video, but you come down this hill and you sort of turn this corner, and eventually the trail turns back this way, but before it can do that, you have to go around this bend. And right here, there is a lot of it's really slick, and it was a little wet and muddy, and it was pretty slick. So what happened was I came around this corner, came pretty close to this tree, and then my passenger side tires sort of started sliding off here like this. So I'm sitting slightly at an angle, kind of like that, with the passenger side all up against the tree like this. And so I can't really go forward because I have an awning mounted here, and that's gonna get basically ripped off with the tree if I try to move, as well as the rotor packs and stuff like that. And I can't really back up because with the mirror and the tires and the fenders, those are all gonna get ripped off if I try to back up against the tree. So in this situation, you see a few different things going on. We evaluated the situation, right? First, we got out, stopped, thought about kind of what situation we're in and what we need to do to get out of it. Took a moment to observe, made a plan for what we're gonna do, and then we executed that plan. So in this role, in this situation, you can sort of see I'm in the driver role. So I'm gonna get back into the Jeep and actually do the driving. Drew, who's standing right over here holding the winch remote, he's operating the winch, and he's sort of calling the shots on this. And then Tad, who you can't see in the video, but he's actually back here behind the tree trying to hold the tree branches back and away from the vehicle. So in sort of the plan we came up with, we assigned these roles effectively, and then I roll my windows down, right? I hop in the driver's seat, and the winch line is actually hooked up to this back corner of the Jeep, and it's going up this way towards the Bronco, which is parked on top of the hill. So the idea is that we could pull on the winch line here so that it brings the back end up this way and kind of brings the front end around, and then that will create a little bit of separation between the Jeep and the tree, and from there I can reverse kind of like this, and then as long as I'm off the sort of slick portion of the trail over here, then I can cut wide and go up and around the tree like this. And there's a couple videos out there already talking about this situation. I think there's maybe one that I saw with like a Tacoma or something like that that had gotten stuck on this situation. It's about halfway down the trail. So in this particular case, it happened to me, and it was pretty avoidable because if I had stopped at the top of that hill where the Bronco is and just taken a second to hop out, scout ahead, Probably wouldn't have ended up in this situation, because if you basically cut cut narrow and then wide around the tree, you won't get caught on sort of that the wet slick portion that causes you to slide into the tree a little bit. So thankfully, we were able to make the recovery. There was no body damage, no major body damage, at least to the Jeep, that I can think of, other than some pinstripes and stuff like that. And actually, after the actual Trail Recon Summit, we ended up running the trail just for fun, going the other way with a couple of the guys. And at that point, this trail, Kate the Great, being a black trail, was part of the Extreme Challenge. And so at that point, they had actually gone through and had folks come through there doing the actual Extreme Challenge, and it looked like they had taken some chainsaws or axes or whatever to that tree, and so that tree is pretty trimmed back now, right? And so this was in October of now 2024. Okay, so if you're doing this trail in the future, hopefully this tree and this situation isn't going to be an issue, but who knows, after heavy rainfall, after the trail's pretty wet and muddy, or maybe the tree grows back after some time, it's going to be impossible to tell right now. But that's sort of the lesson takeaway that I wanted to touch on for this specific instance. And in the future, I'm going to try and get hopefully video footage of the actual recovery situations if I end up in those situations, which I'm sure will happen at some point or another. So, but yeah. Okay, so all that being said, let's go ahead and jump right back into the video. All right, so this is probably one of the last obstacles on Kate the Great. What makes this challenging is this ledge right here. And there's another one.
Come more wide if you need to.
What makes these ledges kind of tough is where Tad is standing in the blue shirt, there's a drop off, and it's a tight turn to line up for the ledges. So you kind of have to maneuver yourself a little bit to get on the right approach.
Okay, so cut driver right here. Hard driver, hard driver, hard driver. Get that driver tire to hug the wall. Passengers coming up. Keep driver, hold driver. Hold driver, hold driver. Good. I can't see your rear tire, but front's looking good. Go passenger. All right, passenger front's about to come up on the ledge. Hold driver a little bit, if you can. Good, hold that. And up, 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 up. You got front locker? Yep. And you're up, keep it coming. All right, rear's getting ready to come up. In 3, 2, 1, there it is. And you're up, perfect.
Ciao.
Nicely done.
I need one of those.
Yeah, these are handy. I pulled that way ahead, so you can keep going.
Is there,
Yeah, you got space.
After an awesome day on the trails and having met some incredible people, it was time to call it a day. So I kicked up some dust in the rear view and headed out. But only until tomorrow, the kickoff for the 3rd annual Trail Recon Summit. Be sure to subscribe and follow along for that video and more adventures to come. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.